Welcome, dear listeners, to another episode of our podcast. I'm Sophia, and joining me as always is my co-host, Henry.
Greetings, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to have you back with us.
I'm sure today's topic will resonate with many of our listeners. It's about the fear of speaking English.
That's right, Sophia. It's a common fear that holds many learners back from reaching their full potential.
But don't worry. Today, we'll explore this fear together and find ways to overcome it.
Let's start by understanding where this fear comes from. Many learners worry about pronunciation and making grammar mistakes.
Or perhaps it's the fear of judgment of someone pointing out your accent or a slip-up.
These concerns can stem from a fear of being judged or not being understood.
The truth is, everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. It's all part of the learning process. Think about it. When you learn a new recipe, do you get it perfect the first time? Probably not. But with practice, you become better and better.
Absolutely, Sophia. By understanding the origins of our fear, we can begin to address it and move past it.
So, how do we overcome this fear and start speaking English with confidence?
One effective approach is to start with small steps. Instead of diving into conversations, start with simple exercises to build confidence gradually.
Right. Start out small. You could try talking to yourself in English. Narrate your day. Describe what you see around you.
Practicing pronunciation in front of a mirror is another common way to practice speaking English.
Recording your speech and listening back can also be an effective way to gain confidence.
That's a great point, Sophia. Taking these small steps allows us to practice without the pressure of immediate feedback.
Another powerful tool for improving your English speaking skills is listening. Listening to real-life conversations, audiobooks, or watching movies exposes you to diverse vocabulary and speech patterns. This not only enhances our understanding, but also boosts our confidence in speaking.
It's like learning the melody before attempting to sing the song.
Interesting comparison, Henry. By immersing yourself in the language, you'll naturally absorb pronunciation, grammar, and the flow of conversation.
Our podcasts are also a great choice.
Exactly. Our podcasts offer a wide range of topics and provide necessary vocabulary and tips for your learning journey.
Remember, the more you listen, the more comfortable you'll feel speaking. The more opportunities you have to speak English in a supportive environment, the more comfortable and confident you'll become.
And remember, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Making errors is a natural part of the learning process, and it's through these mistakes that we grow and improve.
By embracing our mistakes, we can learn from them and gain confidence in our ability to communicate effectively in English. Let's go through some vocabulary relevant to learning. Address, meaning to give attention to or deal with a matter or problem. Example, we need to address the pressing issue of pollution. Approach, meaning a way of doing something. Example, Michael is always very logical in his approach. Narrate, meaning to describe events as they happen. Example, you should get Stuart to narrate our school days together. Exposure, meaning being in contact with or experiencing something. Example, you should always limit your exposure to the sun. Immerse, meaning to become completely involved in something. Example, she immersed herself in French novels for 2 hours. Is fear of speaking English solely related to language ability? Answer, no. It can also come from fear of judgment, lack of self-confidence, or negative past experiences, regardless of language skills. What are the most common reasons for being afraid to speak English? Answer, the 3 most common reasons for being afraid to speak English are fear of failure, fear of being misunderstood, and fear of making grammar mistakes.
One of the best ways to overcome the fear of speaking in English is to find a speaking buddy.
Exactly. Having a supportive environment to practicing can make all the difference. You can reach out to friends who are also learning English to practice speaking together.
Alternatively, you can find online language exchange partners through language learning platforms. You will enjoy a safe space where you can make mistakes and receive constructive feedback. This is also an effective way to boost your motivation in speaking English.
You got it right. By joining an English-speaking community, You will be surrounded by peers who are willing to enhance their skills. This kind of environment encourages healthy competition, as you will strive to showcase your speaking ability while supporting your companions.
Speaking of motivation, I think our listeners are eager to hear more. Learning to speak a language takes time and effort, and of course, there will be times when you feel discouraged to continue your journey.
Therefore, to stay motivated, it's important to set clear goals. Identify why you want to improve your speaking skills and how it will benefit you. Your goals can be as simple as having a fluent conversation with a native speaker or as ambitious as studying abroad.
Whatever your goal is, write it down, make it specific, and even put a timeline on it. By defining your goals, you will give yourself a sense of direction, which can fuel your progress.
That's absolutely right, Sophia. And speaking of progress, that brings us to our final tip, celebrating your victories. Learning a language is a process, and it's easy to get caught up in the challenges.
However, it's important to appreciate steps you take along the way. Did you master a new grammar point? Did you have a successful conversation with a stranger? High-five yourself.
And remember, learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. So be patient with yourself and celebrate every milestone along the way.
Let's go through some vocabulary relevant to learning. Supportive, meaning giving help and encouragement. Example, the teachers are very supportive of my project. Constructive, meaning useful and intended to help or improve something. Example, she criticized my writing, but in a way that was very constructive. Master, meaning to learn how to do something well. Example, he practiced until he mastered the technique. Ambitious, meaning having a strong wish to be successful, powerful, or rich. Example, she has some ambitious plans for her business. Discouraged, meaning having lost confidence or enthusiasm. Example, she felt discouraged after failing the test. Question: how to handle communication breakdowns while speaking English? Answer: it's important to stay calm and clarify the situation. You can ask for repetition, rephrase your statement, or use gestures to convey your message. Question: how to integrate the language learned from movies, TV shows, or music into our spoken English? Answer: actively listen to dialogues or lyrics. Then imitate the pronunciation and intonation. Watch with subtitles to understand the context and new vocabulary. Afterwards, practice speaking aloud, imitating the characters' expressions.
And that brings us to the end of today's talk. If you're afraid to speak in English, remember that you're not alone. Succeeding in English speaking is a long journey, and with each step, you will grow and become more confident.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of our podcast. We hope these insights and strategies help you overcome your fear and embrace the joy of speaking in English.